Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our session for the day. I hope everyone is doing well and we are on the track on becoming web developers. Before I start off, I hope you guys have seen this particular repository where I'm going to post all the code that we are going to learn during the session so that once you are going through the video, you also have access to the code. And this is the official repository of Cypher Schools where you might find over a couple of repositories coming up in near future. And we would love to have some open source developers who can help us create a better web application and all that stuff, because it is a very mutual community that we are trying to create. All right. In the meanwhile, I guess you guys have received a form on your WhatsApp where you have to fill up your GitHub repo. So please do that, because that is where we are going to access and see your code once you are once you are doing any kind of assignment, which we are going to give you very soon. We are almost there. We have learned a lot of concept on HTML, and you will be having your very first assignment coming your way. And in the meanwhile, please fill up whoever hasn't filled up that form so that we have the data for all of you. And it will be easier for us to check out and assess and evaluate the kind of work that you guys are doing. All right. Does it sound good? Okay. So did you guys take a look at the video? I guess the video problem is solved for everyone. You guys are able to access it immediately. And any kind of doubts that you had, did you practice it on your end? Okay, we will start then. So this is what we were doing on yesterday's session. And today we will move forward from index.html and forms.html to a little bit more on the design aspect and how to do that. But before I go there, we need to talk about a very important aspect of our modern web development, and that is the semantics part of it. Okay, so what does semantics mean in a English language? Or if I ask you in terms of English language, what does semantics mean? What do you think semantic means? Anyone? Correct. Like a grammar, a way of writing things, right? In English, a way of writing things, a semantic aspect of it. Logic? Uh, yes, we can say rules of doing things. Correct. So, with the modern web development and HTML was introduced long time back. Okay, it was introduced around 90s, somewhere around 90s, and since then they wanted to send out data in such a format that it is uh, easily transferred over the network. Because if we started using heavy languages on the front end, then the Then processing the data and sending the data over the internet becomes very difficult. So they came up with HTML to pass the data initially, and then it became a pattern, or it became a standard. And when it became a standard, what happened is, uh, this there was this community, the W3 community, which W3 से मतलब क्या हुआ? It's www, right? W3 is basically www, World Wide Web, ठीक है, is equal to your W3, ठीक है, इसलिए इसका community का नाम W3 हो गया. And this community started rolling out the versions of HTML. So there were different versions that kept on coming up, just like our Android mobile or um, anything. So it kept on enhancing in the terms of development. So right now we are at the version of HTML5. Okay. Now the fifth version is the latest version, and there are a lot of things in the fifth version that has been introduced. All these things that you have seen, what I was doing was a very latest version of it. So let me just go ahead and first of all talk about uh, HTML semantics, HTML5 semantics, or I'll just put it semantics so that you understand what it means. So when we were creating our homepage, the homepage that we were working on, it had a kind of a view around it, right? So let's say this was a page. This is our main browser page. Now, when we were designing it, we were breaking it down into divs and spans, and then I ID'd it to some classes or something. So let's say in our application, we were thinking of somewhere of a header. One second. Yeah. Some header was there like this. And then what we wanted was a kind of a nav bar, let's say. And what we did was we created a set of links over there, and this became our nav bar aspect. Okay. And then we had some section where we were displaying the main content about what this website is all about. So let's say this was a main section around that. And then there were some few details that we were trying to replicate in the below section. Let's say we are trying to pass out the contact information or something like this. So when we talk in this terms, what happens is HTML thought that why not have this as a way of doing it? Why not create some elements or tags which are basically going to help us understand that what is the header part, what is the uh, navigation part, what is the section, or let's say uh, main section, or whatever we are trying to put as a content on our website, and a few details on the footer part. So they introduced these tags, something like this. So they introduced header tag, they introduced nav tag. Okay, they introduced nav tag, and this was called a section. So what, let me just first of all write this section, and they also introduced a thing called footers. Okay, so this makes more sense, right? If I see it in terms of the semantics part, it makes more sense to me that okay, I have a header, I have a navigation link jahan se I'm taking my user from one page to another page, and then I have a footer section where I might be giving out some information about it. Okay, and there are multiple other semantics element of HTML, but these are most commonly used one. Now inside the section you can divide it into multiple sections, you can divide it into multiple sections. Okay, and they also introduce a thing called article. So what this article does is it is similar to a section, but let's say you are trying to describe something. Okay, I will say this is my main section. I will call it a main section. And inside the main section, I have certain articles written or certain subcategories of that. So I can use this article tag for that, right? And there is also sometimes you might have seen or a side section. So all these tags will look similar to you. They will not have any aspect. If I go ahead and start implementing this tag, what will happen is you will not see anything exceptional happening on your web page, or it is getting divided in a way you I am talking about. Okay, so let me just draw a line so that you can understand that this is the aside section. But what this means is this is a way of writing. HTML thought that okay, because we have been developing for so long and we have seen the pattern, let's put a aside tag, and in the aside tag we might be using something related to our website but that is not on our web page. So let's say आप किसी blogging website पे हो, and on that blogging website you see more blogs to read, right? You keep seeing that stuff, right? You keep seeing that stuff that uh, or some ads that are coming, so that can come in the aside section of our website. In the main section part we can divide it into multiple other sections. So it's like I'm saying this is a section, I can have multiple sections on my web page as well. So let me just say uh, I can divide it into two sections. My main section can be divided into two sections. एक जगह पे मैंने let's say articles लिख दिए हैं बहुत सारे, so उसके अंदर हम लोग ने article tag use कर लिया. So what this does is now there is a lot of weightage on what kind of tags you're using. That is very important, right? So these kind of tags helps the SEO aspect, or when you're searching, or the visibility of your website on the internet. Okay, so if you're using div, it is going to make no difference on the visual aspect, but maybe it can be a little lower on the search index, as we call it. So the non-semantics tags that we have used till now is div and span, right? So we have already seen the usage of div and span. The semantics tag that we have are the ones that I have mentioned over on the diagram that you see. And apart from that, there are certain other semantics tag. Uh, I think if I remember correctly, let's say details. So by the name of the tags itself, you would understand that what it means. There is also main section, and I will just replicate everything and show you how it works. There is also a summary tag. Okay, so this is all related to kind of content you are preparing on your web page. If you are summarizing something, let's say if it is a photo or if it is a poem, or if you have written a big article and then you are just like an ending note or something, you're summarizing complete thing, you can put it in a summary tag, right? There's also figure, which most of you might be using. Inside there is below that you can have a fig caption. Okay, so these are some non-semantic, semantic tags that can be used. But when I say semantics, it means that there is a whole new layout, whole new way of writing things, and we can use these kind of tags to actually write the content inside it. So I could have done the same thing using the div tag. So if I have a div and I have written all the header content, what I would do is I will go ahead and ID it as header, right? To distribute it. Maybe another section, I would ID it as nav. Okay, I'll do this. Then I will make a section and not section. I will create another div and say ID it as main section, main, or something like this. Okay, and then inside this, let me see. Yeah, inside this, I create another div and I ID it as section. So this was happening for a long time. Then we kind of generalized it in a way so that when you're creating your website, it is much more easier for you to understand. Are you getting what the semantics mean? It is exactly the same thing, but in a much more organized way. These W3 school guys came up with this kind of a semantic and said that, okay, let's start using all these aspects instead of just going and making a div ID is equal to header. Why not just use a header ID or a header tag? We will still be IDing it, obviously, because we might be using when we will be using it in styling it and everything. So it will not affect our web page, but it will definitely affect the inner workings of how search engine works. ठीक है, सर्च इंजन में आपका वेब पेज जो है वो थोड़ा better index हो जाएगा. When I call about indexing, that's how they search web pages. Okay, if you are interested in that, go read about the crawlers, how crawlers work. So they basically based on the indexing, that how well a website is written, and in the search history they would like to represent your website on a upper list rather than having it on the lower side. Okay, if you have these kind of latest tags. Make sense? Okay. So should I move to the coding aspect and see how this works? All right, I'm removing this. Okay, and let's go back. Okay, can I undo this? Yes, let's keep it. Why remove it? We will go to the coding aspect, and here we will call this as semantics.html. Okay, now अब मैं यहाँ पे ना थोड़ा सा एक क्या बोलेंगे predictive text use करूँगा so that it creates or generates a kind of a text for me. And we might not have used this before, but I will explain it. Okay, so meta tag मैंने आपको explain किया था. It is like a information about my website, and there is on the top of it you see a new tag that is, the ones who have not seen this before, it's a doc type. So doc type is a very important tag in terms of explaining our browser that what is the version of HTML I'm using. So when I say this doc type HTML, it means HTML5. It is the latest version. There are 4.0.1 version, and there is no point I tell you about it and then you start using 4.0.1. There is no point doing that. We are going to basically use the version here, and HTML is the latest version that we are using. This is the HTML tag, and it has the attribute of language. When I say language, it means I'm going to work in the English language. Basically, most of the website is going to be English. When it comes to internationalization and all that stuff, that is a different aspect altogether. But most of the times, this is going to be English until unless you are creating a uh, Arabic website where things are written from right to left, if I'm correct. Yeah, right to left. Most of the times we write LTR. We are having left to right. So if you come across a word called LTR, it will be left. It means left to right. But if you are creating a website, let's say an Arabic website or a website which has Urdu in it, then you use RTL, right to left, right? You guys must know about this. So basically, I'm saying that I'm going to write English, and 99% or 95%, I don't know exact number, I'm just throwing a random number out of the air. Most of the website is what I mean, is English. Then head part again, what is UTF? As I said, I'm saying that, okay, my website is going to contain a char set of UTF-8. By UTF-8, I mean this is an encoding standard. When I say encoding standard, UTF-8 is the human readable standard. Oh, sorry, I don't want to open settings. Encoding standard is equal to UTF-8. अगर मैं आपको बहुत सिंपल टर्म्स में बताऊं, so this is human readable. तो अगर आप देख रहे हो जो मैं लिख रहा हूँ वो आप पढ़ पा रहे हो, that means this is a UTF-8 standard. There is ASCII also that you might have seen or heard. So there are, but at the end of the day, everything boils down to 0 and 1. Okay. So most of the time it is going to be UTF-8, human readable standard, which means whatever I type or whatever is going to be contained in my website will be human readable. That means capset. There is another meta tag which says name, which means viewport. What do you mean by viewport? Does anyone know what viewport means? Not exactly responsive, I would say. So viewport means where we are viewing it. Where we are viewing it. It can be a computer, it can be a mobile phone. Yes, it can be a tablet. So that depends on where you are viewing it. So when I say viewport, it's I'm saying that okay, whatever viewport you are doing, the width of the device will be adjusted automatically. The content of this website will be adjusted automatically. Okay, so that's what it means. The content is going to have the width is equal to device of the width, and initial scale is 1:1. That means it is not going to be zoomed in or zoomed out. So this makes sense. Pretty easy to understand. It's just the word, but it's like अगर मैं इसको इस वेबसाइट को कंप्यूटर पे खोलूंगा, so it is going to be according to the computer screen. Or if I adjust the size of the screen, then my content is going to be a little adjustable according to the size of the screen. Okay, so by viewport, I mean any kind of device wherever you're viewing this website. Yes, so this is the standard that we are following. You can increase or decrease the initial scale of it. That means if you do 2, that means you are going to zoom it out double the size of whatever initially it is. But we will stick to the initial scale, that is 1. This specifically is for Edge browser, Internet Explorer browser. Exactly the same thing like viewport, but it's just like Internet Explorer is kind of a troublemaker when it comes to responsiveness of our website, and they have set it up. This attribute has been created by W3 people so that they can handle the Internet Explorer, i.e., Edge, the Edge browser of your Internet Explorer. But I don't think most is anyone here using Internet Explorer now? Most of us use, yeah, they are taking down Internet Explorer. Correct, correct. Most of us have Internet Explorer, but we try to use Chrome, Google Chrome. Yeah, correct. Search engine Brave. All right. So we have some. Okay, Ashtika uses Opera. तो मैं सजेस्ट करूंगा फॉर दिस कोर्स ट्राई टू यूज क्रोम, क्योंकि हो सकता है जो चीज़ें हम यूज़ करें या वट एवर वी राइट इन दिस कोर्स माइट, I don't think that is a problem, but it might affect your views when you are trying to work with a certain browser. Okay, all right, cool. तो हम लोग HTML semantics पे बात करते हैं, and what we do is we will start off with understanding कैसे इसको use कर सकते हैं. How can we start using the semantics aspect of it? So let me think of something that can make sense. Okay, so I will create a header. Header tag represents a introductory content. That means this is going to be a header tag for me. Introductory content. So I will just say HTML5 semantics. Okay. अब मैंने बोला था nav section होगा. अब nav section क्या represent करता है? That there is going to be some navigation link. I have placed everything in head part because this is something about my website. This is this is the information of my website. This is not going to be the content that is going to be displayed on the screen. Okay. Okay. So nav section mein, let's say I am creating a list and I say li and I'll say home page. Then I will say uh, home page and let's say subscribe. अभी हमने 2 पेज बनाया, तो let's do that. तो ये हमारा एक navigation section हो गया. All right. Now what we'll see is how to use sections. अब मैंने क्या बोला कि अब जो मेरा part आ रहा है body का, that is going to be the main section, and below this I will be having a footer section. So it's like saying that everything that I'm going to write inside this is going to be divided into section. I can have multiple sections, as I said. I'm going to have multiple sections like this. And inside the footer, I can have my own divisions or sections. I can have sections inside this as well, right? It is not a mandatory thing to have it under main. It's like main thing that we have decided, and then inside that we are trying to distribute it. Or to give you a better view of this, I will say ये सारा aspect जो है वो मेरा header का part है, कि मेरे site का जो main header है उसका part है ये. So this will give me a clear idea of what I'm trying to say. And inside this, I can use h1 tag and saying HTML5 semantics. Does it make sense what I'm trying to do? No. Vandit, nothing should be outside body tag. Footer का मतलब ये नहीं होता है कि एकदम ही footer पे चला जाए. Everything should be inside body tag. Body tag is the one that gets shown. Yes, correct. Sachin, Anam, Anurag. Yeah. So in this section, I'm going to represent, let's say, I have an article which I'm going to write, and I'll say H2. And I will say this is going to have a heading of, let's say, blog 1 itself. ऐसे ही. और यहाँ पे p tag हो गया, and I have some lorem ipsum text. ठीक है, ये एक सेक्शन हो गया मेरा. दूसरा सेक्शन हो गया जहाँ पे मैं कुछ और चीजें लिख रहा हूँ. Let's say I have some articles written over here. So I will create multiple articles inside this. Article section में मैंने लिखा H2 और उसका लिख दिया मैंने, let's say, Chrome browser के बारे में लिख रहा हूँ मैं. ठीक है, and I have written some article. So it solely depends, like interchangeably use हो सकता है article और section. ठीक है, it can be interchangeably used. Like आप article के अंदर multiple sections कर दो और sections के अंदर multiple articles कर दो. So this is like a self-contained content. That means when I say the, let me make it clear, more clear. I'm just going to copy this and say, okay, I have another article over here which talks about Internet Explorer. ठीक है, उस पे एक article लिखा हुआ है. So are you guys able to understand what I'm trying to do over here? ठीक है, एक सेक्शन मेरा हो गया कि जहाँ पे मैंने एक रैंडम ब्लॉग लिखा हुआ है. एक दूसरा सेक्शन हो गया जिसमें मैंने लेट्स से कि सिर्फ स्पेसिफिक टू सर्टेन टॉपिक मैंने एक आर्टिकल लिखा हुआ है. राइट, करेक्ट. तो अब इसको देखें. डू यू थिंक दिस इज गोइंग टू हैव अ काइंड ऑफ अ सेक्शन. हटा देते हैं यहाँ पे, अभी फुटर खाली रखते हैं. चेंज इन द व्यू, कुछ व्यू में चेंजेस आएंगे. एक काम करते हैं, ये होम और सब्सक्राइब को लिंक कर देते हैं. तो इसके अंदर एक ए टैग लिख देते हैं. क्या बोलते हो, सही रहेगा? href कहाँ जाएगा? ये देख के बताओ कहाँ जाएगा. क्या होगा यहाँ पे, क्या लिखेंगे? href कैसे देंगे? डॉट स्लैश डबल डबल डॉट, बाहर जाना है हमें, राइट? तो हमें डबल डॉट इंडेक्स डॉट html पे जाना है. तो ये href दे दिया और ये होम जो है इसके बीच में लिख दिया. सो दिस विल actually create a home. Similarly for subscribe also, I'm just going to paste this. लेकिन अब ये थोड़ा change हो जाएगा. This is going to change a little bit. The directory that we are going to show dot slash, and it is in the same directory. So dot slash में ही आ जाएगा मेरा forms, and I'll say subscribe. Okay, subscribe. Cool. So if I try to open this, let me run the server. And I will go back to our browser. Can you guys see the browser? Yes. Cool. So do you see any kind of change in the view or layout? Can you guys see it? No, right? So it is mostly the semantic aspect. ठीक है, syntactical है, एक rule जैसा है. अब ये देख रहे हो, जब मैंने व्यू पोर्ट लिखा था, इट इज़ लाइक जब मैं इसको छोटा कर रहा हूँ, सो इट इज़ ऑटो एडजस्टिंग, राइट? कैन यू सी दिस? प्रीटी कूल दैट इट इज़ ऑटो एडजस्टिंग. पहले ये सब नहीं था. अगर मैं इसको एकदम ही छोटा कर दूँ, सो एवरीथिंग गेट्स ऑटो एडजस्टेड डिपेंडिंग ऑन द व्यू पोर्ट. या सो दिस इज बिकॉज आई हैव रिटन दिस एस्पेक्ट कि व्यू पोर्ट जो भी है, जो भी डिवाइस का विड्थ होगा उसके हिसाब से आना चाहिए. एंड इनसाइड दिस there is a clear bifurcation. There is a header section, there is a main section, and there is a footer section जिस पे हमने कुछ लिखा नहीं है. और footer main के अंदर भी एक अलग section है, and there is another article section and these two articles section, right? Cool. So are you getting what is semantics? इसको same चीज को आप div में भी कर सकते हो. Like you can go ahead and convert this whole code with the div tags, right? Can you guys do it? Like our block. What do you think? Is it a block or is it a block tag or something? ठीक है. तो let's see nav bar. Nav bar भी हमने create किया था. ठीक है. तो again to refer, कहाँ जाएंगे हम लोग? यहाँ पे W3 schools. W3 schools में आपको आइडिया मिल जाएगा कि हो क्या रहा है. Like you can read through it. Now that I have shown you what it does, it will make more sense to you when you are reading through it, right? That is how it should work. तो इसमें अगर मैं आपको दिखाऊं, yeah, here, this is one example that I wanted to show you. So in this example, what you see is there's an article section, and inside that also they have created a header section. So it's just not like you are going to use header on the very top part of it. I hope you guys can see W3 schools, right? I think I've shared the right screen. Okay. So here also, if you see, it depends on what kind of thing you are representing on your website. इन्होंने बोला कि चलो ठीक है, what does WWF do, what is WWF mission, this will become my header section. और उसके बाहर उन्होंने जो भी mission है उसको p tag में लिखा है, and that becomes an article. So this is the positioning of it. और footer section में it says that any kind of information, site map, back to top link or something like that, you can put it something like this, right? And now we have seen, हमने ऐसे ही कुछ किया है कि कहाँ जाना है, किधर जाना है. Aside section हमने नहीं किया है. So it says elements define some content aside from its content it is placed in a sidebar. So when I talk about web development, as I said, इधर आ रहा है क्या कुछ साइड में? हाँ, ये साइड में ये जो कंटेंट आ रहा है, देख रहे हो, कलर पिकर हो गया, या ये शर्ट हो गई, या हाउ टू डू दिस हो गया. So this is kind of a sidebar for this whole web page of W3 schools. ठीक है. तो ये कंटेंट के लिए we can use a aside tag. Make sense? Does it make sense? Okay, let's go back to our code. Close this. Let's go back to our elements. और ये काफी आसान हो गया अब मेरे लिए कि चलो ठीक है, मेरे को अब समझ में आ रहा है. So this is what your HTML is all about, and we have talked about the major aspects of HTML, that how it works, how do we use it. I did not see if my links were working or not. Let me go back and check it. Let's go back and check this. So if I press on home, okay, it takes me to home. If I go to subscribe, it takes me to subscribe. If I go back, it takes me to main page. अभी मेरे को वो link करना बचा है. That link. Hello, is someone saying something? Hello. Okay, cool. All right. So I guess you guys have understood HTML, right? अब अगर मैं आपको एक assignment दूंगा HTML में, so you will be able to do it. You have the link, you are going to have a references, you can use your skill of everything that you have learned till now and put it in a more conceived thought. Yeah, definitely you will need to go through HTML, but this is how it is. This is mostly the things are, and then you will be introduced with a lot of tags. अब tags का आपको understanding समझ में आ गया. You know what tags do, and if you encounter some new tag, you will be kind of saying that okay, this new tag might be doing something. Let me try it out. So have that kind of a experimental attitude where you will be able to understand what is doing. Do you want me to do tables? No, Sridhar, you cannot name semantics according to you. So you say that header को कुछ और अपना नाम बना के एक नया tag बना दे, right? We can't do that. Okay. और क्या question है? We have to upload our assignment through Git push. Yes, Manan. Definitely, you'll have to do it. Can you explain using tags like section and articles over divs? Okay. ये वाला एक बार और कर देता हूँ so that you guys are clear. And we will use the home index page and you tell me. This is something that we have used. इसको हम लोग कौन से टैग में यूज कर सकते हैं? प्रतीक, you tell me. No one tells. Pratik is the question for Pratik. अगर मेरे को सेमांटिक वाला टैग इस अगर मैं यूज करना चाहूँ तो कौन सा यूज करूँगा यहाँ पे? हेडर, करेक्ट. This one, what do you think can come over here for this section? Section और मे बी नेविगेशन भी कर सकते हो. nav टैग नहीं, क्योंकि यहाँ से मैं नेविगेट करवा रहा हूँ लोगों को. From this point I'm taking it to Google, and right, so this can completely come under the section, right, and inside that you can put this as a nav tag. यहाँ पे जाके आपने nav tag लिख दिया सीधा. ठीक है. So this is something. मेजर डिफरेंस कुछ नहीं है. अब इसी div को मैं चेंज कर दूंगा हेडर पे, something like this, and we might not need this id. I might change the id to welcome or something like this. Okay, does it make sense? I will not change this at the moment because then you will have both the pages for reference perspective कि div और इसमें क्या changes. The benefit of using this is, as I said, indexing. आपका modern web development में आएगा. When you are trying to search your website, you are going to have your website index on top. Okay. How can we create option list left side like W3 spools? तो ये left side में जो भी आप देख रहे हो, that is all styling. क्योंकि मैंने आपको दिखाया, it does not changes the view that we have. If I go here, मैं aside भी यूज कर लूँ या कोई भी टैग जो semantic आपको मैंने बताया वो मैं यूज कर लूँ, but it is not going to make changes to the look that I have over here. What it is going to do is it is just going to assign that tag. Now we will talk about something which is going to help us uh, use these kind of aspects or take up individual section और उठा के उसको हम लोग अपने हिसाब से mold कर सकते हैं. Okay, so we can do that. All right. Can we add payment methods on a page using HTML5? Yes, you can, but it is a very complex thing. So if you want to pull out your hairs initially when we are talking about HTML, go ahead, be my guest, start looking about payment methods, but it will come at a very later point of time. How can we place text exactly aside? Again, question of CSS. What is the difference between article and section tag? Now, article and section tag is mostly interrelatable, as I said. ठीक है, वो दोनों आपस में हम लोग यूज कर सकते हैं. Sometimes we might be using articles to better understand our own project. So It's like a section might be a distinct section जहाँ पे आपने एक section के अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें लिखी. The two with respect to each other. There is no rule as such, but there are mostly a kind of way of representing your document. Like you are saying, ठीक है, यहाँ पे मैंने दो दो पेजेस रखे हैं, यहाँ पे मेरा एक फीचर है, तो ये पूरा एक मेन सेक्शन हो जाएगा. उसमें ऊपर वाले सेक्शन को आपने दो आर्टिकल में डिवाइड कर दिया और नीचे वाले को एक आर्टिकल में डिवाइड कर दिया. So this is like the way you go it. Okay. Uh, Background attribute. Now I'm going to move on to CSS, guys. What if you write footer before header? Great. Let's do that and see what happens. Do you want me to do that and see what happens? Okay, I'll go ahead and cut this out, put it over here. Obviously, if someone sees this live, they are going to make a fun of our website, but let's do it for fun purpose. Footer over header. Let's do it. And एक काम करते हैं, यहाँ पे इसको www.google.com के बजाय यहाँ पे रेफरेंस कर देते हैं. Semantics and semantics. Okay, let's go back to our website. And if I go to semantics, footer over header, कुछ हुआ change? नहीं, right? Because as I said, this is more like a semantic. आपको बता रहा है कि आपने क्या, आपका क्या section है पेज का. You can use it anywhere, but it will not look good when it comes to searching engine. They will look for information on header, and the first thing they find is footer. Then you might be at loss, right? So it is just like positioning using it's what they have done is they have generalized the div with the IDs that we used to give. Now we can definitely give IDs to this as well. Like we can go ahead and create IDs for sections to target it and all that stuff. So if I go here and say, first of all, I'll remove this. Main के नीचे आएगा मेरा footer, definitely. I don't want this to be a part of it, but I can ID this as blogs, okay? And then I can ID this article as, or maybe use classes for this. I'll say articles and use the same thing. So all the articles will have the same class, correct? Or maybe also for, yeah, this ID works good. And for this, I will say articles. I can use the word of it. Okay, not the articles I have already used. Articles and article items. I can use the class name. Obviously, we can use this. Does it make sense? Okay, cool. All right. ध्रुव, अभी हम लोग उस पॉइंट पे आए नहीं है, वो हम लोग का CSS का पार्ट है. But tell me, do you guys want to see heading section? Sorry, table sections. Do you want me to do tables over here, or you want to try it yourself? Table is also a part of semantics, by the way, right? So पहले क्या होता था, tables हम लोग use करते थे. अभी हमारा CSS इतना ज़्यादा evolve हो गया है कि अब हम CSS use करते हैं for positioning element. जो ध्रुव का question है that how do we place things on the left side, how do we place things on the right side. Previously, I'm talking maybe way back, 5 years back or 10 years back, what used to happen was that positioning thing was done using tables. So They used to place position tables inside the elements of the table, TDTS. Let me go back and show you the table का format at least, ताकि जब आप लोग try कर रहे हो तो idea हो क्या रहा है. So I'll just open the website. इसको बंद करो. Tables. So ये देख रहे हो ये table है, right? You can use tables like this. So initially what used to happen was, अभी तो यहाँ content है. People used to format their websites based on the tables. They used to put headers over here if they wanted it on the left hand side, and they used to put main section over here or nav section over here in one of the tabs. But that was way too difficult to do it, because this is how you write a table. Okay, this is how you write a table. uh, there is a table thing, there is a table tag altogether. Inside that you have tr means the table row. So each row will have columns. So the number of columns you create, it is going to get created. Okay. So here it is th. So it's like the bold section. ये जो bold section आप देख रहे हो, this is the bold section that comes with th. Okay. And then the same row, then you are creating another row, but then you have the data td, and that's what you see over here. So this is the td part. Okay, so there is the difference. And when you try it out with the simple table, and then try to make it a little complex by saying, okay, I will make a nested table. एक टेबल के अंदर दूसरा टेबल बना दिया. ओके, ये बॉर्डर वाला पार्ट तो अभी हम लोग करेंगे विद css, but this is what table is all about. Simple, uh, simple tags with the names. HTML is mostly the names of the tags, and they have been already implemented by W3 people. So that's how we can work on this. अगर आपको ज़्यादा ही मस्ती करनी है, so go on to this video tag, क्योंकि वीडियो से लोग काफ़ी fascinate होते हैं. So there are media tags as well. Yeah, HTML media tags. So if you want to play something on as a video for this, you can embed a video over here in your HTML site as well. So for that, what you need to do is use the video tag. Height width आप specify कर सकते हो. Controls is basically that how the control is going to be. Is it going to be visible over here or not? Okay, तो ये वीडियो आपका embed हो जाएगा, and उसके लिए आपको टाइप बताना पड़ेगा कौन से टाइप का वीडियो है और कहाँ से लोड कर रहे हो. सोर्स समथिंग. ठीक है. So you can play around with this. Yes, for each and everything there is a tag. यहाँ पे आपको दिखाता हूँ मैं ब्राउजर सपोर्ट. तो इतना अर्ली वर्जन ऑफ क्रोम सपोर्ट्स ऑल दिस वीडियो टैग, बट इंटरनेट एक्सप्लोरर 9 सपोर्ट्स दिस, एंड ओपेरा का तो 10.5 वर्जन सपोर्ट कर रहा है. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी मोस्टली यूज क्रोम. ऑलराइट, क्लियर ऑन दिस? शैल वी गो अहेड? ऑलराइट, कूल. ठीक है, तो ये आप लोग ट्राई करना. HTML का वी हैव कवर्ड क्वाइट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, एंड आई थिंक थिंग्स आर क्लियर फॉर यू एज वेल कि कैसे यूज करते हैं. अब हर चीज़ तो मैं 1 घंटे 2 घंटे में नहीं बताऊंगा. With time you will practice this. So now what we will do is we will start off with CSS and understand what CSS is all about. Okay, uh, give me a second. I'll just close this and push it so that you have the commit message rightly done. So git status, ये भी आप लोग देख सकते हो. Complete होने के बाद I'm just pushing it right now. Git add dot and git commit -m HTML5 semantics, and this will give you a clear idea. ठीक है, git push origin name. So what I'm doing now is pushing it, and there you go. It will be available in 3, 2, 1, go. It is available now on your Git. Pretty cool stuff, right? Git. How easily I can do it in a matter of seconds. So that's what I'm saying. Once you get used to it, जैसे जैसे आप काम करोगे वैसे वैसे आप push करते जाओगे. Let me just check whether it is available on our Git or not. So if I refresh this, yes, HTML5 commits history भी देख सकते हैं, दो commit किया, and we have this commit HTML5 semantics, and you can see what all changes I have done over here. ये हटा के ये किया, and I have added a new semantic file, and you can see everything. All right, cool. Let's go back and create a new folder, and I will call this CSS. Okay. So what is CSS? What is CSS? It's called cascading style sheet. Okay. So I'll go back to my whiteboard. Keeps acting weird. 1 second, guys. Whiteboard. Yeah. So when I talk about CSS, right now you see that there is color to this, color to this, color to this, but no, this is not how our HTML works. HTML simple है. It is a markup language and it marks up things on our page and it just leaves it there. Maybe those tags have their own functionality, but then uh, they do not do anything apart from their self-defined format that they have. उनका कुछ self-defined format है जिसके वजह से you are able to see कि चलो ठीक है मेरा जो header section है वो bold है या मेरा जो P section है वो थोड़े से किसी टाइप के टेक्स्ट में आ रहा है. So these are predefined rules that have been set by our browser. Okay, but but अब क्या करना है, हमें चीजें थोड़ी सी स्टाइलाइज करनी है. इतना सिंपल वेब पेज अगर आप जाके रख दोगे किसी के सामने तो आप लोग को मजा नहीं आएगा. लाइक नो वन वुड लाइक टू सी कि सिंपल से टेक्स्ट लिखा हुआ है, वाइट स्क्रीन, ब्लैक एंड वाइट. लाइक नो मैटर हाउ वेल यू हैव रिटन योर HTML, whatever tags you have used, it is kind of boring, right? And all of you agree to that. I know for a fact. Is there anyone who just likes simple HTML page? No, right? कोई भी ऐसा इतना सिंपल आदमी है यहाँ पे एकदम मिनिमल डिजाइन वाला कि नहीं मेरे को वाइट ब्लैक एंड वाइट ही पसंद है, तो उस ब्लैक एंड वाइट के लिए भी हमें एक थोड़ा सा तो स्टाइल देना पड़ेगा ना कि कौन से टाइप ऑफ ब्लैक, कौन सा टाइप ऑफ वाइट. या मिनिमल डिजाइन इज डिफरेंट. सिंपल प्लेन ऐसा जो मैं आपको पेज दिखा रहा हूँ, व्हाट एवर यू आर सीइंग राइट नाउ ऑन योर स्क्रीन, दैट इज समथिंग दैट might not be very appealing when I come over here. Or too much of design is also not very appealing, right? So we need to have to find a right balance, and that is a very different concept altogether, and that is called UI UX part of it. But HTML, जो CSS होता है, it is a basically a kind of a makeup जो बहुत लोगों ने बोला, right? Makeup करने के लिए. It's like putting a presentable view of something. Okay. So it is called cascading style sheet, and we will understand what cascading style sheet means. CHM क्या कर रहे हो? What is this? Chum chum. Yes, Anshuman, there is a lot of things. CSS is a very powerful thing to have in today's world in terms of understanding of how things are going and how to design stuff. So I'm going to start with the introduction of it. Let me clear this drawing. Anam, I would love to do that, but since the timeline is restricted to more of basic web development, we will stick to web development and the technologies in web development. UI, if I get time, I will definitely talk about how it works and what are the rules and the things that we need to keep in mind when we are developing something. So when I keep saying things that, okay, we need to put it as aside or we need to put it as section, that is also a part of your uh, UI aspect. That, okay, when I'm creating this, I'm thinking in terms of users. UX is user experience. Anyway, so we will start with CSS. It's called cascading style sheet. Cascading का मतलब क्या होता है? Anyone? What does cascading means? English में क्या मतलब होगा cascading का? No, not changing colors. Series can be said layering, one after the other. Correct, right? So इस नाम से भी आपको काफी चीजें पता चल जाएंगी. So first of all, let's understand the syntax, how it works. So in cascading style sheet, when this is basically a language we use to style a HTML document, okay, and it describes that how we are going to represent our HTML element. ठीक है, तो इसका जो syntax होता है, it's basically your element, let's say element, and then we have curly braces, and inside this we define properties, and those properties have some value. Okay, so this is the basic syntax. So for example, let's say I want to target p element, or I want to target a h1 element. ठीक है, header element को मेरे को target करना, तो इसको टारगेट करने के लिए मेरे को एक प्रॉपर्टी चाहिए. तो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ सीएसएस, बहुत सारी प्रॉपर्टीज है. Impossible to remember all of them, but the ones that we will be usually using most of the times is colors, text color, या background color, या font size, font family. There are a lot of things. So यहाँ पे if you see, it is color. ठीक है, this means the text color. And if I say white, what I'm saying is whatever text you are going to write for H1, it is going to be white in color. So this is the basic syntax. Now, instead of doing this over this, I hope it will make more sense when we are going to have it on our coding console. All right. So we will go to CSS. What we will do is I will first of all create an index.html, and let's just quickly create something. HTML5. Here I'm going to have a header section, let's say, and inside this I will have one h1, and I'll say intro to css, and then we will have a p section, and I have lorem ipsum. Okay, so how does my index.html understand these style? Now there are multiple ways of doing it. One such way is saying one way of doing this is by saying I can write a style tag or a style attribute to the tags. So I can do that over here. Okay, just like all the other attributes that we have used previously, I can add a style tag over here, and maybe use that style tag to define what I want to do by providing properties to that, or by providing uh, whatever we want to provide to this particular header section over here. तो style tag अगर हम लोग use करते हैं, so I say style, okay, and inside this जो मैंने अभी आपको दिखाया था property, sorry, the element, so we are already in the element, so we don't have to specifically specify header. अभी हमें कलर दिखाना है, और लेट्स से बैकग्राउंड कलर एक प्रॉपर्टी होती है, जिससे क्या होता है कि जितनी देर का ये बैकग्राउंड कलर है, I'll just go ahead and say color. ठीक है, तो दिस इज द प्रॉपर्टी. अब इसमें मेरे को कलर देना है. ठीक है, तो इसमें कलर देते हैं, लेट्स से salmon. Let's see how it looks like. When I do this, let's see what happens. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, यहाँ पे आ जाओ तुम. Do you see the salmon color coming for the header section? There is a color that came for this header section, and it kind of looks weird though, but we are able to target it. Now Oh shit, I should not have closed it. Let me just put it back over here. Yeah. Now, if I compare it to my initial thing, though I have very beautifully tried to represent using HTML, but still ये color आके थोड़ा सा तो initially header में ही changes आ गए. So what I have done is I have targeted the header section and I have given it a style. I can add multiple styles to this. So if I put this and I say, okay, I want a different color for the text. I'll say I want a white color. Okay. And I close this. So let's see what happens. In this, it has changed to white color, right? It has changed to white color. Cool. So what we are doing is we are targeting, what we are doing is we are kind of targeting our elements using this style tag. अब ये same style मैं किसी को भी लगा सकता हूँ. It can be anything. Let's say I have a section over here and I say I have p tag, multiple p tags with lorem ipsum text. सिर्फ lorem ipsum text है तो ठीक है. और यहाँ पे एक h3 हो गया, let's say, and I'll call this article 343. चलो ऐसे लिख दिया मैंने. तो अब क्या हो रहा है? Let's see what we can do with this. If you will see over here, which part is colored? It is not targeting all the elements क्योंकि मैंने अभी तक section में कोई style नहीं लगाया. But the part that we have right now is the one that has style has been targeted and the one that do not have style is not targeted. So what I will do is I will just use the same style for this section. Okay, not this, sorry. Style, copy किया. बस for the representation, background color कोई different कर देते हैं. Let's say blue. बहुत weird दिखने वाला है, but and इसको थोड़ा dark कर देते हैं. Dark color. Let's have a dark blue color. Okay. So what you will see is we have kind of targeting the element. ये बीच वाला section अभी भी गायब है, right? ये बीच वाला section अभी भी गायब है. Like वहां पे कलर नहीं आया, बस वो section वाले element में आया. So CSS is able to target that element, right? But ये complete चीज एक body में आती है. ठीक है? Let's say मेरे को पूरी body का कुछ background color देना है. Alright? We want to give some background color to my whole body. So you can say, okay, मैं यहाँ पे जाके style लिख देता हूँ and I will say some background color over here, so it will target body. But there is another way of doing it. What we can do is in the head, we use style tag. There is also a style tag over here. Okay. And inside this, I will say body. And for this, I will say background color. And that will be something on a very lighter shade of, let's say, gray. ठीक है? तो अब देखना क्या हो रहा है. Let's go back. Do you see how we are targeting, how CSS is targeting each element? तो अभी हमने क्या किया है? We have used two types of CSS, right? We can go ahead, write all the properties, and I'm going to use certain properties आगे चल के भी CSS की. But अभी हमने क्या देखा कि this is able to target. We are able to target. We are able to understand that how we are going to target certain elements of it. And यहाँ पे this thing is called internal styling, inline styling. Sorry. So I'll just go ahead and write inline CSS. This is called internal CSS. Okay. So there are two things that we have seen, but think of it in a way that what I want to do is I want to have I want to have this particular style for more pages. So let's say I have another page and that I call it as uh, home home.html. ठीक है और इसको quickly let's give it a thing, and I have header section over here as well, and inside this h1 और ये copy कर लेते हैं. Sorry, let's copy this and take it over here, and I will say external styling. ठीक है तो अब दो पेज है. Now if I link my a tag, यहाँ पे चलो एक link tag डाल देते हैं by saying read more a tag href to that page dot slash home, and I'll say read more. कुछ ऐसे read more करके एक tag है. ठीक है, so it will take me there. So if I click on read more, do you think this will have the style? No, right? It doesn't have that style. Why? Because what we have done is we have targeted only that pages that tag, a specific tag over there. We haven't targeted this particular thing. So what you will be thinking is, okay, yeah, we can do the same thing. We can come back, copy this whole thing and do it. What about if we have hundreds of pages? Are you going to do that for hundreds of pages? You will be like, okay, nahi, I can write a style, internal internal style, and just go ahead and write it. No, there is a much better way of doing it. There is a much better way of doing it, and that is called external CSS. So इसके अंदर एक CSS फोल्डर बनाएंगे हम लोग, और यहाँ पे एक फाइल क्रिएट करेंगे that will be called style.css. ठीक है. So when I use or create any CSS file with an extension of .css, it means that everything inside this file will be holding the rules or properties or whatever we are going to write, and it is going to target whatever element we are going to specify in this file. So you are like, okay, ठीक है, इसको common कर देते हैं, यहाँ से हटा देते हैं. I'll remove this and I will put it on style.css, something like this. But then this is not going to work. कैसे बोला था? क्योंकि मैंने syntax के बारे में बताया था. And that syntax is nothing but I wanted header section. The header section is over here. And then उसके लिए मेरे को, sorry, ये part use करना. ठीक है? तो properties लिख दी और ये हटाओ. अब so what I have done is I have targeted a header section. And now this is a common style.css. It's like we are targeting this with the common attributes and properties that we have. Okay, so here we understand that our file is going to have a common property. But does it work? Do you see it working? This is working because we have created, okay, did I not save it? Let me save it and refresh. Yes, correct. Yeah. So when I save this, that style is gone from my header, but that is not implemented everywhere. So we need to link those files. How do we link that? So to link that, again, we come back to our header section. So आप देख रहे हो header section कैसे grow हो रहा है धीरे धीरे. It is slowly showing its important कि without head section तुम कुछ काम ही नहीं कर सकते, right? ठीक है. So this is the style.css. Now we need to link it to all the files. So to link that, we have this tag called link, and this will be used to specify ki kya. Okay, let me share the coding screen first. So inside this link, we have this link tag and then relation. Basically, what kind of thing we are trying to link, and it is called style sheets. Okay, it is called style sheet because CSS is cascading style sheet. Like, okay, now what we see is we need to provide the reference to this or source to this. What do we use for this? I think reference, yeah. How can I forget this? So we provide the reference for this one, correct? So when I say reference, it means कहाँ से आपको ये स्टाइल शीट उठानी है. कहाँ से उठानी है? Again, CSS के अंदर जाके ये कॉमन स्टाइल शीट है, इसको जाके उठा लो. और let me save this and see if it works. So if I go over here, it works for this one. Let's go to our second page. It still does not work, right? So अब क्या करेंगे हम लोग? ये same चीज, this same style sheet, this link, it needs to be done to the home.html as well. And let's go back and check it out. So now you see this internal style sheet and this internal style sheet, sorry, this pages have the properties that we have set for the header. So जहाँ जहाँ उसको header मिल रहा है मेरे HTML में, वहाँ पे ये वाला style वो apply कर दे रहा है, right? Correct? Are you able to understand what we are trying to do? So this is called external style sheet. These are the external style sheet. अभी मैंने एक style sheet रखा है. Let's say what happens in real world is we might have multiple style sheets applied to a web page depending on the requirement. Let's say we have a specific requirement for a page which contains the product details. वहाँ के लिए अलग स्टाइल है, तो हम लोग ने उसके लिए अलग से स्टाइल शीट बनाई और जो भी प्रोडक्ट डिटेल्स वाला पेज है वहाँ पे जाके वो वाली स्टाइल शीट लिंक कर दी अपार्ट फ्रॉम this generic style sheet. So this generic style sheet, what it will do is, what I'll do here is I'll go, ये हटा देता हूँ. I'll just remove this, or I'll just keep it over here so that when I push it, you guys can understand. I'll say body tag को background दे दो color. So I can use just background. Let's use it and light yellow. So when I do this, you will see this will be applied to all the sheets that we have. If I go back, have I not saved it? Let me go see. I did. But why is my body behaving weird? Yeah, yellow back again. So now you can see that this kind of is applied to everything, and my job of going ahead and what are you seeing right now? Okay, code dekh rahe ho aap log. Yeah. My job of writing header में जाके style हर के लिए is become much more easier. अब क्या होगा, सब जगह linked है मेरी style sheet. Whatever I make just changes, wherever this is applicable, it will automatically pick up. But let me quickly show you something interesting. What I'll do is, what I will do is, I will just go ahead and target the body here as well. ठीक है, और इसका background मैं कर देता हूँ, let's say light green. तो अभी आप देख रहे हो यहाँ पे दो चीजें हैं जो बॉडी को टारगेट कर रही हैं. One is the external one, which is target the background, and one is the internal one, which is targeting the background. Okay, so now we will go to our document and see how it works. So this looks okay. If I go to my main page, refresh this, it should have picked up. Okay, it is not green. Is it green? Right, it is green, right? And this is not green. So what is happening? It is taking up internal, even though I have an external style sheet. But let's go back to our code and make more changes to my existing code. And this is over here. This body में भी मैंने style लिखा. And what I say is background is equal to blue. Simple blue कर दिया इसको. तो अब ये बताओ क्या होगा, ब्लू हो गया ये, ठीक है। तो आपको प्रायोरिटी समझ में आ रहा है, प्रायोरिटी कैसे चल रहा है। सो द प्रायोरिटी इज हैपनिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ योर वे इट रीड्स इट। तो अब मैं तुमको बताता हूँ कैस्केडिंग स्टाइल शीट, करेक्ट अनुराग, थैंक यू फॉर दिस, आई वाज जस्ट अबाउट टू राइट दिस। तो मैं इसको कॉपी कर लेता हूँ जो आपने लिखा है, एंड आई विल ओपन माय व्हाइट बोर्ड। सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्रायोरिटी, अरे यार, गिव मी अ सेकंड गाइस। Yeah. So in terms of priority, what happens is this is the priority. सबसे हाईएस्ट प्रायोरिटी होता है तुम्हारे इनलाइन को, फिर होता है इंटरनल, फिर होता है एक्सटर्नल। ओके, so this is the priority of CSS. That means जिस वे में हमने स्टाइल किया हुआ है, अभी हमने देखा कि हमने बॉडी को सेम सेम प्रॉपर्टी अप्लाई की थी बैकग्राउंड की सबके लिए, बट it got it was using the inline wala. It was overriding external, it was overriding internal. So first external was getting read, then internal was getting read, and then it was getting to the inline part. And why is it happening? And this is where the name comes from, cascading style sheet. So when the browser starts reading your file, let's say index.html, it starts reading all this stuff. It says okay, there is an external link, it goes into external link, it starts reading and it starts applying it. It says okay, body background hai, apply kar dete hain, and it applies whatever other things are there. Then again it comes over here, it says okay, there is another style, let me see what it means, and it says background, I will apply this, so it overrides the previous one. Again it comes to body, it says okay, isme bhi ek khud ka style hai, so it goes ahead and applies the style. So when I say cascading style sheet, it is one after the another. This is what it is meant, that it is read from top to bottom. अगर मैं इसको यहाँ लिख दूँ, will it change the background color? What do you guys say? Will it change the background color?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Yes? No? बहुत लोग yes बोल रहे हैं, बहुत लोग no भी बोल रहे हैं। कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, हमारा यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी एक स्टाइल लिखा हुआ है, कुछ भी कर लो इसका, ये तो यही होने वाला है, ब्लू ही होने वाला है, राइट? Because there is an internal style that is applied to this. Inline है यहाँ पे, right? Okay. If I remove this, if I let me show you first before I remove this. So it is still going to be blue only. There is no changes that is going to happen, and it is way too bright for my eyes. So I'll remove this. I don't want this style. अब बताओ, will it change the background color? Will it change to light green or will it change to light yellow? Light green or light yellow? Hmm. Interesting. Let me show you the screen. अभी मैंने बताया था आपको कैसे रीड करता है वो, टॉप टू बॉटम रीडिंग था, तो पहले ही उसको स्टाइल में लिया ब्राउजर में, पहले उसको स्टाइल मिल गया ब्राउजर में, और उसके बाद उसको लाइट येलो वाला मिला, ठीक है। So that's a trick over here. When you see internal, when you see inline, internal, and external, it is a way of writing it. Like this is considered bad coding practice. What we have done over here is a bad coding practice. We need to do it पहले, सबसे पहले एक्सटर्नल लिखते हैं, क्योंकि कैस्केडिंग स्टाइल शीट टॉप टू बॉटम रीड करता है, वो सीधा रीड करना शुरू करेगा ब्राउजर यहाँ से, उसको स्टाइल मिलेगा पहले, वो स्टाइल अप्लाई कर दिया लाइट ग्रीन, उसके बाद उसको लिंक मिला, तो इट वेंट इनसाइड द लिंक एंड स्टार्टेड रीडिंग दिस फाइल, एंड देन लाइट येलो कर दिया उसने. ओके, राइट. So this is a back coding practice, but how it works is different. So this is external style sheet. So whenever you are using external style sheet, make sure that you use it at the top above the internal CSS. Okay, internal CSS and inline को तो आप छू ही नहीं सकते हो. Inline में आप क्या ही change करोगे? इसके बाद तो कुछ आएगा ही नहीं because you are directly targeting that particular element. So यहाँ पे I'll just put a style so that if I push this code, you will understand what inline style is. I'll say color red, maybe. Yeah, let's go ahead with this. It's going to blow my eyes. So does it make sense how it works? How it is working? Pretty cool, right? How this thing works and how you are able to target. So, so to clear why or what is mostly used, we try to use it in a style sheet because it is in a very generic way and you can use it in multiple places. Internal most of the times is used when we have very specific design to a very specific page. Let's say I am working on a magazine or magazine kind of a website, and I have a sports section in that magazine, and that sports pages should have a certain background. So at that point of time, I will have generic style for my complete website. I'll go on my sports page and I will put a different color for that, and it will be applied to only that particular thing. And then this particular inline style is very specific. Let's say I want to just change the color of this part of it. ठीक है, तो इसमें ज़्यादा स्टाइलिंग मत करना, या इसमें भी बहुत ज़्यादा स्टाइलिंग आप करोगे तो इट इज़ गोइंग टू बी कंफ्यूजिंग व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग योर कोड. रीडेबिलिटी पर्पस के लिए यहाँ पे एक जगह लिखो सारा स्टाइल, जो भी मेन स्टाइल्स है, right? And then jo little bit or a very specific changes to a page, you can write it in internal CSS, and a more specific change to a particular tag, you can write it on your tags itself. Okay, all right. I think काफी पढ़ लिया आज हमने. अब it's time for doubts. और हम लोग पढ़ेंगे CSS और डिटेल्स में. ये जितने क्वेश्चंस आप लोग कर रहे हो, बैकग्राउंड इमेज और ये सारी चीज़ें फैसिनेटिंग तो है, बट वी विल first of all understand CSS and then we will start to implement it. But yes, you guys are correct. Background image अलग होगा. We will talk about certain properties, important properties. अभी तो हमने बस CSS के बारे में जाना है. Alright. तो पता चला CSS काम कैसा करता है, right? अब हम लोग CSS की प्रॉपर्टीज यूज करेंगे नेक्स्ट सेशन में, जहाँ पे कुछ चीज़ें उठा के देखेंगे कि CSS का काम होता कैसे, हाउ डू वी डू इट, why do we do it, and how it can be helpful. So there is this course, like, since we are working on just the technology of our full stack development, we might not be focusing more on CSS. This is just to make you understand the whole process from starting to the end of a basic product. But there is this thing called 100 days of CSS. If you want to master CSS, there is this practice that developers do for 100 days of CSS to get used to with the CSS properties and stuff like that. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to touch base on important aspects of CSS and then move on to the JavaScript part, and then we will move on to the main part of MERN. Okay, so I'm just going to add this to the GitHub right away. When I say 100 days of CSS, I mean आप कुछ भी करो, बस CSS करो 100 दिन, आधा घंटा भी करो, जो करना आपको करो, कहीं से उठा के नहीं, हर चीज कहीं से उठा के नहीं, खुद उठा के शुरू कर दो. ठीक है? Okay, so questions, time for queries by the time I push it to GitHub. मजा आ रहा है कोर्स में आप लोग को? इज वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. उनको जो लोग आप जो लोग ने पहले से किया हुआ है उनको भी मजा आ रहा है कि नहीं? ओके, कूल. रिफ्रेशर भी हो गया, सही है. अब आपने गिट भी सीख लिया है. सो वी आर ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू हम वी आर ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट योर गिटहब प्रोफाइल, जहाँ पे जहाँ पे आप लोग को आपका प्रोफाइल भी बनता रहेगा साथ में. एंड उसमें आप फर्दर जैसे जैसे डेवलपमेंट और ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट करोगे आप अपना गिटहब प्रोफाइल बेटर करते जाओगे. सो दैट वाज माय मेन गोल कि क्योंकि एक महीने में फुल स्टैक डेवलपमेंट इज अ वेरी बिग टास्क विच आई हैव टेकन अप ऑन मी एंड आई एम ट्राइंग टू fulfill that. CSS, and I hope you guys make the most of this 1 month that we have together. And furthermore, get commit कर दिया. Now I'm going to push origin. आप अपना git का practice ज़रूर करते रहना because that is something that is going to be very useful. And also, please let me know क्योंकि sometimes in the flow I might be using something which is wrong, but you would understand that okay ये तो गलत बोला आपने. So please point it out. जैसे मैंने first day में mail email का कुछ गड़बड़ किया था. So please do let me know and try to correct me. And I love to get corrected because that way I remember stuff. ठीक है? So it is a mutual understanding. आप मेरे को सिखाओ, मैं आपको सिखाऊंगा. अंशुमन, इसका वीडियो आप फ्राइडे वाला वीडियो देख लेना. फ्राइडे वाले वीडियो में वी हैव लिंक्ड गिटहब एंड गिट. अलाइनमेंट विवेक वी विल डू इट टुमारो और वो सारी चीज़ें आपको समझ में आएंगी. टुमारो वी आर गोइंग टू टारगेट एलिमेंट्स एंड यूज दीज प्रॉपर्टीज which are going to help us align stuff in a much more better way. Okay. ये भी चला गया I think. If someone has opened the website, sorry, GitHub link, you would see HTML आ गया, CSS भी आ गया. असाइनमेंट का डॉक्यूमेंट मैं शेयर करूंगा tomorrow with HTML content हम लोग and then we will continue the CSS part. Okay. All right. Doubts? डेडलाइन फॉर असाइनमेंट, पहले असाइनमेंट देने दो उसके बाद डेडलाइन डिसाइड करेंगे. How will the assignment be given? On Google Classroom, definitely. We will upload it on the Google Classroom and you will get the notification on all the platforms that we communicate on. Explain once again वो light green, light yellow और color wala priority. Yeah, so those who are done can leave now. Like if you do not have any kind of questions, you guys can leave. If you have any questions, platform is open for discussion. All right, so coming to good night, everyone. Good night, whoever is leaving. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Coming back to Anurag's question. So I said it's a cascading style sheet. When I say it's a cascading style sheet, how my browser reads it. When HTML gets loaded on the browser, what happens is it starts reading from the top. पहले पढ़ा कि चलो ठीक है, this is the version. Okay, I'm going to use the HTML language. Head section में meta पढ़ा, ये पढ़ा, ये पढ़ा, and then it encounters link. So what it does is it goes, sees the reference, goes inside the CSS folder, uh, CSS file, and it reads all this. So top to bottom, it starts reading all the properties or the instructions that we have given. And then once it has applied, it comes back to the index page. Let's say index page pe hum log hain, and then it sees the style tag and it sees body. Then again it starts applying this. So it applies light green. And then it again comes over here in the body part. It sees nothing. So it remains at light green. Okay. Now if I do this, take that external link and put it over here, what happens is the same reading process goes, but this body tag comes over here, it gets applied, and then after this is done, it starts reading over this here and gets the background, correct? So this will actually read it the in a cascading way, in a top to bottom way. ठीक है? So that is why it reads ये वाला style. But that is not a good coding standard. हम लोग external सबसे पहले लिखते हैं और उसके बाद internal लिखते हैं और उसके बाद inline. Inline तो anyway उसी में लिखना होगा. Okay? What does REL means? It's kind of a relation of this website. Like ये क्या उठा रहा है? Style sheet उठा रहे हैं. हो सकता है हम बाद में कोई और टाइप की फाइल उठाएं, JS फाइल उठाएं या कुछ और तरीके की फाइल उठाएं. तो that is kind of a relation to this particular website. Like किस टाइप की फाइल उठा रहा है. Okay. All right. I guess we can make a group so that we can discuss after class. Correct, Diksha. Whatever you are trying to discuss, please go ahead and you can consolidate your doubts and we can take up those doubts before, after the session sometimes. Okay. Explain HTTP equivalent. Right. So this thing, what this does is, what this is kind of a reference to your viewport only, that whatever tags we might be using, uh, this is also relevant to your IE edge. Okay. So when I say HTTP EQEV, which is something like compatibility, as you can see, it says XUV compatible. So it basically means that your web standard, you're trying to take care of the Internet Explorer also. Okay. Internet Explorer also, and uh, whatever you're typing might not be available for the previous browser, but this tag is mostly useful for Internet Explorer. हम लोग के Chrome या उस चीज के लिए important नहीं है ये. This is just saying that I am going to be compatible with Internet Explorer Edge. ठीक है? Okay. आई विल टॉक अबाउट द असाइनमेंट, कैसे सबमिट करना है, क्या करना है. जब मैं आपको असाइनमेंट दूंगा, सबसे पहले मेरे को असाइनमेंट देने दो एंड देन वी विल टॉक अबाउट द सबमिशंस. Okay. All right. So you guys can use a community on Slack, maybe add yourself or make a group. But we do have that community. Why don't you use it for doubts? Because I see a lot of people use that community for doubts. तो वहाँ पे क्यों नहीं डाल देते हो टैग करके, अगर if you want to tag someone specifically? Yes, we will be building projects, Manan. Otherwise, there is no point of learning this. All right, guys. If any other uh, doubt, if no, then what we can do is we can uh, meet tomorrow. What is your last project? Everything that we have done, जो भी हम पढ़ेंगे उसको include करके सारा project बनेगा. All the concepts. Okay. Prerequisites before React and Node is something that we are going to do. जो चीज़ें मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ वो prerequisite है React.js और Node.js का. इसलिए I have taken this week for getting the prerequisites done. Yeah, I will do that. I will cover that. Don't worry. नहीं तो मैं ऐसे सीधे जाके अभी फर्स्ट वीक से ही आपको रिएक्ट पढ़ाने लगता तो यू वुड हैव सेड दैट नहीं ये मज़ा नहीं आ रहा है, क्या चल रहा है। इसलिए दिस वीक इज फॉर द प्री रिक्विजिट्स। ओके, ऑलराइट, एनी मोर क्वेश्चंस? तो अगर आपको अभी से स्टार्ट करना है तो हाउ गुड आर यू इन जेएस? जेएस पे थोड़ा कमांड ले आओ। जेएस पे थोड़ा कमांड ले आओ एंड दैट विल बी यूजफुल फॉर यू व्हेन यू गो अहेड। You know about JS? How much do you know about JS? Thank you, Rohit. Let's wait for one to start और तब देखते हैं कैसे चल रहा है। डॉम हैंडलिंग तक आता है आपको? ठीक है। उससे भी थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा कॉन्सेप्ट चाहिए होगा। थोड़ा सा एक कॉन्सेप्ट और चाहिए जो मैं बताऊंगा, which is basically about object oriented part of JavaScript, which is very important when it comes to React. But you will get to know when we are dealing with React. Before React, I will show you what JavaScript works like, and then we will move on to React.
सर जीएस कभी स्टार्ट होगी?
JS मोस्ट प्रोबेबली फ्राइडे को स्टार्ट कर देंगे हम लोग।
सर एचटीएमएल सीएसएस पर कोई असाइनमेंट दोगे आप?
हाँ हाँ, क्यों नहीं, बिल्कुल।
ओके सर, थैंक
HTML
यू सर।
CSS में असाइनमेंट होगा, सब में असाइनमेंट होगा, जितने टॉपिक्स हम कवर करेंगे सबका असाइनमेंट होगा। या इट वुड बी गुड इफ यू लर्न OpenJS. Okay, cool. If we do not have any more doubts, so shall we meet tomorrow then with more concepts on CSS? All right, cool. You will be getting your very first assignment very soon. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Please stay safe and keep learning. I will meet you tomorrow.